I'm really delighted to have in the studios a very good friend, Tony Eades. Now, Tony wears 2 or 3 different hats in our community. He is currently the chairman of Sydney Hills Chamber of Commerce, has taken on that role, and he, under his leadership and his new committee are doing, or his board, I should say, is doing an absolutely fantastic job. Tony Moran before that has done and has continued to build a great platform for Tony and his board to go forward. But tonight we're going to talk to Tony Eades, the Creative Director of Brand Manager, and I didn't really know what that meant, although I've known Tony for a long time, so I thought it might be interesting, particularly in the context of money and cents, just to find out a bit about business, a bit about what a brand manager does. So welcome, Tony.
Thanks, Jim. Great to be on the show.
And I must tell our listeners, we're actually being videotaped in here.
And you didn't know about that, did
you? We did know about it, but it's going to be very interesting. So is that going to be what we say podcast on our Facebook?
Yes, I think they call it vodcast when it's video, so the technical word for it, but yes, pretty much.
Get off with the lingo, Jim.
Okay, yes. I'm really
down with the kids, Jim, with the youth of today.
I used to be in charge of this show, but I'm slipping further.
Yeah, these times are changing, Drew.
In fact, I won't even have to turn up anymore. So it's really great, and I'm delighted that you can spare some time. I do sincerely know how busy you are in the things that you're involved. So let's get right into it. As a creative director of Brand Manager, what does that mean and how it relates to digital communications or digital communications agency, I think is the term?
Yes, yeah. Well, that's, Jim, what we call basically our agency now is a digital communications agency, because we live in a world that's changing. I mean, you know as well as anybody as a businessman about how marketing has changed, as the whole platform's changed.
Absolutely.
Gone are the days when you can just get around with a business card and a brochure. You know, nowadays you have to network across the online spectrum. So It's all moved digitally into the digital world. But as brand manager, I suppose as a creative director, my job is to work with organisations and individuals on their brand. So that can be the brand as a business, but more importantly nowadays it's also their personal brand. It's how they're seen in the marketplace. And those two things really have to go together, your personal brand and your business brand linked together to support each other.
And Tony, if I can just say, I've never thought of it in that way, but that's a very powerful insight into looking at an organisation. It's not just an organisation, that's made up of many parts of people and their brand as well, their individual brand and a collective brand. That's really what you're saying.
It is. I mean,
fantastic.
Branding itself, I think a lot of people see branding or have done in previous years. I think a lot more nowadays they're starting to get up with it, to realise that your brand isn't just your logo. Your brand encompasses like a number of different elements that can be in there, you know, including personal branding. The brand promise, which is your unique selling proposition. So that's the thing you take to the marketplace that says, you know, Jim, you are known as your selling proposition, what you're known as. So you might do a lot of different things as a business, but people get to know you as something special that you do better than anybody else.
And I love the use of the word promise, because even as a young child, a promise is a promise, and it's irrespective of age. I'll meet you at this time. I'll do this for you. That's part of who I am when I make that promise about what I deliver.
Yes.
Again, that's 2 really good takeouts for me. There is not a disengagement between the individual and the organisation. That the brand overlaps. And secondly, this whole area associated with the promise that you make as individuals and as an organisation.
Yes, that's right. They had a survey a few years back that Reader's Digest did about with all their readers, asking for them what makes a really good brand, a really good trusted brand. How do you trust a brand? And by far the best result that came back was a brand remaining loyal and trustworthy to its message, to its business. So I think a lot of people are misled by brands. If you have a brand promise in the marketplace, you have to stand by that brand and not mislead people. So if you want to be known as the cheapest, that's fine, but make sure you are the cheapest and monitor everybody else. If you want to be the fastest, then make sure that you are the fastest, like FedEx has absolutely positively overnight. Now, if they delivered in 48 hours, would they be delivering on their brand promise? They wouldn't. So when you go with someone like FedEx, you expect your parcel to be there without you having to worry about it the very next day.
Sorry, you just blown me away. But my silence, listeners, is because the things that Tony is talking about really do make you stop and think about what you say, how you behave, and all of those things give a collective about the brand with whom you think you are, and also at the organisational level. I'm just thinking of our own business, Tony, as you speak. It has a great level of insight in what you're talking about. It's very powerful.
And besides, we're talking about what's in a brand. So besides the brand promise, we then have the brand identity, which is the logo. So that's part of the whole brand that you're putting together, the whole package. Your brand image, which is the set of beliefs around what your brand stands for. So again, that's getting deeper into it, because a customer will work with you longer term because of the beliefs that they hold in there. They've got to resonate with them and connect you. So it's a much deeper level than just a fancy logo. Like McDonald's, for example, you don't just go to McDonald's for a burger. You go there for the experience, the service, the people, the whole idea that you're going to have the same quality of product every time. And
can I just say, you're 100% right, because sometimes, like on Sunday, we'll go to Mass. I normally go to 7 o'clock. It finishes around about 10 to 8, and then I'll go to the gym at Fitness First, and then Carol and I, if she does a cycle class, we will go for an experience and just have McDonald's, some toast, and I get to read the paper. So by 10:30, I've done 3 or 4 things, been with Carol, had a bit of a workout, been to Mass, and now the rest of the day I can enjoy the family and kids and all of those things. So it is that experience by that time. Yes. And it is pretty common whether I go to McDonald's at Rouse Hill, here at Norwest, or at Castle Hill. Yep. They're all pretty much the same experience.
It is, and also around the world. I mean, I went to a McDonald's in Germany, in Munich, and it was exactly the same thing.
Yeah, it definitely isn't. Was that in the centre of Munich there?
It was.
Yeah, I've been there as well.
Right.
Yeah,
and it tasted the same.
It's the exact same. It's the exact same.
Excuse me, this is my
Sorry, I've been to the exact same one.
So you've been there, Jim. Catch up.
Nah, he's out.
So you've been.
I've been to the exact same, and it's the exact same. You get the same deals, you get the same meals and everything.
Yeah, it's just in francs, is it? It's German.
Euros it is now.
Euros,
yes.
Yeah, when I was there a few years ago, it was francs, but still the same thing.
Exactly the same.
Tony is a bit older.
Yeah. Good job we're on radio. You can't see that. The other thing I was just going to mention, just 3 other things as part of the brand, is the strategy, is how you promote the brand and build a positive perception in the customer's mind. Positioning, so it's looking at other competitors in the marketplace and how you position yourself. Brand management, which is what we practice at Brand Manager, or rather deliver at Brand Manager. We've gone beyond practicing, we've been doing it for 20 years now. Yeah. But management, to make sure that your brand stays the same across all mediums.
And that's really interesting too. Again, the use of your language, if I can just tell our listeners what I'm hearing you say. You're talking about brand, Connor, but you're also saying there's a management, there's a strategy, there's a behaviour, there's outcomes. Like there's this whole piece around management of that brand. It's not like you get up and go, well, I'm Jim Taggart, so what? There's a whole piece around that.
Yes.
And how you manage her. Again, that's a very good takeout for business. The 3 things that you've said to me tonight has been absolutely fantastic. Can I ask you a question? It's about 20 minutes to 7, and I'd hate to think we didn't get this. We've got probably about 2 or 3 minutes, and I'd like you to come back, because the stuff you've talked about tonight is really central for many people, as I say, going home, leaving, just thinking about business. And, it's pretty tough out there in business for lots and lots of businesses, and if they're not digesting what you're saying, then they have a problem not only with their business, but where the business is going to go, and I say that publicly.